Next example is about conditionally showing or hiding some part of the layout, be it a field, few fields, a line, or a larger section of layout. In electronic reporting, you don't manage the conditional visibility of layout parts in the design itself, as you might expect. Instead, you need to make sure that the data source provides only the data that should be displayed and in the exact order how it should be displayed. The process is like this. In Excel, find the area to be conditionally shown or hidden. If the area has a named range assigned to it, notice the name, otherwise create a new named range and remember the name. I will start with something simple, for example, the range for the purchase order number. The named range is document details, number, value. Now, in electronic reporting format configuration on the left side, I should find that named range, and on the right side, select mapping. Here below is a property of this range called enabled, where you type the expression for controlling the visibility of that range. When expression is evaluated as true, the range will be populated by the values from the data source. In the opposite case, data won't be sent from the data source to the design. Let's say that the purchase order number should be printed only if delivery terms are FOB. I will click the Edit button to the left of the enabled property, and I get the Formula Designer, where I need to type the expression that defines the condition. I will expand this first PO node. Then I know that the delivery terms should be within the delivery group, so I will expand that node. I know that the field ID holds the information about the delivery terms, which you can confirm if you check the related electronic reporting model mapping configuration. I will select the ID field and click the Add Data Source button, which adds the expression representing this field to the formula window. This formula is not complete. I need to compare the value of this field with the string value FOB, which is a rather simple thing to do. Just type equal, double quote for string, FOB, closing double quote. That's it. Save, go back, save once again, just in case, and we are ready to test if this works. How to test if this condition is correctly entered? I need to find one purchase order having delivery terms FOB and print it. Let's do that. The selected range has the expected value, purchase order number, good. Next, I need to find one purchase order having delivery terms different from FOB and print it too. Let's do that. I will first request debugging so that you can see how the report data source is generated. You can see that the purchase order number field in the data source has the correct value. Let's now print once again without debugging and see what happens. You can see in the place where we previously got the purchase order number, now we only see a text purchase order, which comes from the Excel template content entered as a helper to identify the purpose of that cell. This is the result we wanted and a proof that this condition works as expected. Now I will demonstrate the process of meeting the same requirement in the Docentric Designer. This is the purchase order number field. To mark that it should be conditionally shown, I will select it, for example, by clicking this little tag, and click the if tagging element from the Docentric toolbar. The if tagging element is placed around the selected content, and an already known dialog appears where I need to provide a condition based on which the selected content should be shown or hidden. I will point to the delivery terms field. Remember, it's delivery ID, because the data source schema is based on the same electronic reporting model. Select it, and then open the script editor to finalize the expression. Just as in electronic reporting, I add equal, double quote, FOB, closing double quote. The condition is written as an expression that evaluates as a Boolean true or false value. The content is shown when the result of the expression is true. As soon as I confirm this condition, in live preview you can notice that the purchase order number disappeared. Why is that? Probably because the delivery terms in my sample data don't have the FOB value. Let's check that. You see that the value of delivery terms fields is CIF. Let's change it to FOB. As soon as I close this sample data editor, the purchase order number appears in live preview, confirming that this condition works as expected. This was the simplest possible example with simplest possible expression. In reality, you will encounter more sophisticated requirements. For example, if field A has value X and field B has value higher than Y, and there is at least one item line with, let's say, discount above 0, then hide some section of the layout. To test such scenario with Docentric, you only need to modify the sample data accordingly and immediately check the result in the live preview window. On the other hand, with electronic reporting, you would need to find, or even worse, create such purchase order that meets the described condition, perhaps go through some lengthy confirmation workflow, maybe make a mistake along the way, and then repeat the whole process only to be able to print such document and see the results. To summarize the process in Docentric, select the content to be conditionally shown or hidden, click the if tagging element to put it around the selection, write the expression that returns a Boolean value, quickly and efficiently test by changing the values in the sample data editor and immediately checking the result in live preview. As opposed to this, when working with an electronic reporting Excel format, you will, in Excel, identify or create a named range to be conditionally shown. In electronic reporting format configuration, select that named range and enter the expression for controlling its visibility in its property called enabled. Save both Excel file and electronic reporting format configuration. Find the purchase orders that fulfill the conditions for true and false expression outcomes and print them. In case of more complex conditions, finding such purchase order can be tricky, and you will probably need to create a purchase order with such data. You need to keep repeating this process while testing and fine-tuning the design. It is also worth mentioning a difference in user experience. In Docentric, as soon as we added the if tagging element around the purchase order number field, it is added to the so-called element tree, where all tagging elements currently present in the design are listed. From merely looking at it, we see that there is some conditionally shown content, and even better, we immediately see the expression used for the condition. If I scroll further down, you can see that there are some more layout parts conditionally displayed, so you quickly get the idea of what is happening on the design. On the other hand, in electronic reporting format configuration, there are these question marks telling you that the range is conditionally shown, but they don't clearly stand out, so you can miss them. Instead, you need to click each element and check if it has the enabled property configured. Let me show you one more useful trick in Docentric, especially convenient when you are inspecting a new design you were assigned to maintain. You will scroll through the element tree, where you would first identify a list of purchase order lines and multiple if tagging elements within this list. For example, the first if tagging element is applied if catch weight quantity is different from 0. The content within it is catch weight and its unit of measure. You can quickly invert the logic to see what happens. A new row is added for each line, where you can see the fixed text catch weight coming from this text in the design, but further to the right there are the catch weight and unit of measure fields, catch weight being 0 and its unit of measure being empty string, so we even don't see it. Now it is clear why this whole row is conditionally shown, because it doesn't make too much sense to print it if catch is 0. You can also take another approach, clear the invert flag and modify the sample data to have some catch weight different from 0, let's say in the first and second line. I will also color the text in this row in blue so that you can easily identify it when it appears in the live preview. This allows you to test how this rather complicated design will behave when these multiple conditionally displayed rows all become visible. I can really quickly repeat the process for all other conditionally shown rows. In electronic reporting format configuration, it isn't difficult to identify the range where catch weight information is displayed, and here is that same range in Excel design. If you would test the electronic reporting design for a fully blown purchase order line information, it would take you significant time to find or create a purchase order where all this information is not empty, so that you can check how the printed document would look and behave. In a conclusion, not only that controlling the visibility of layout elements is much more user-friendly in Docentric, but you will be also much more efficient and productive in the process of testing and fine-tuning the design when you have a conditionally shown content.